Welcome into this Five Clubs conversation. I'm Gary Williams. Always great to have you with us, and I'm really looking forward to the conversation we're getting ready to have. He's 21st in the official World Golf Rankings. Currently, he sits 8th in the FedEx Cup rankings. He's already a 3-time winner on the PGA Tour. And when I say already, look, it took him 10 years to break through. He's made a very good living, consistently making it to the FedEx Cup playoffs every year. But getting that first win, it's a tall order. And a lot of guys will tell you the second one is even harder because it's kind of like a validation. Well, it's Jason Kokrak. Now, Jason won for the first time when he won out at Shadow Creek at the CJ Cup. Then he added that second win of the Charles Schwab Challenge by winning at Colonial, holding off the native son, Jordan Spieth. And more recently, he won the Houston Open last fall, but that counted for this season. So he's currently in the top 10 of the FedEx Cup. He's a guy who won over $5 million last year, and I think there's a very reasonable chance that he could be on the United States President's Cup team right here in Charlotte at Quail Hollow next fall. And by winning that Charles Schwab Challenge, he won the 1946 Dodge Power Wagon. Nobody looks better behind the wheel of that Power Wagon than him, except maybe me. So Jason Kokrak is our conversation this week. With that, we welcome in Jason Kokrak. Jason, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing great. How are you, Gary?
I'm good. Thank you for doing this. Looking forward to this conversation. I got to ask you, you were just mentioning before we got started that you all got 18 inches of snow up there. How is the 1946 Dodge Power Wagon in the snow? Have you had it out?
I haven't had it out yet. I was going to drive it around in the snow, but the problem was that it's already started to melt a little bit. So the roads got too wet and salty before I could get it out.
You know, I think, and I'm alluding to this truck that Jason won when he won the Charles Schwab Challenge at Colonial. You get the jacket, which is mint, but you also get the truck. Is the truck tricked out? I mean, do you have like a good sound system in it?
Well, being a 46, it doesn't have a great sound system, but nonetheless, it does have a sound system. I can hook up my iPhone to it. Speakers, AC, heat, power steering. I mean, it's got an LS3 swap, custom transfer case, custom rear end. I mean, the thing is, it's push button start. I mean, if I have the battery charged and the key on, it turns right over and fires right up and drives like a resto mod. So it's a lot of fun, and my boys think they have their own personal monster truck sitting in the garage.
That's awesome. The jacket. Did you wear that nice red plaid jacket to any Christmas parties?
You know what? I haven't gotten the jacket yet. I don't know if it's something to do with shipping these days, but I haven't gotten the jacket yet. So maybe the first time I'll wear it is to the dinner at Colonial this year. So hopefully the jacket's coming. I mean, I know everything's stopped up with the shipping problems these days, but I haven't gotten the jacket yet. Looking forward to taking my wife out to dinner wearing that crazy 46 extra long jacket or 48 extra long jacket in the 46 Power Wagon. But nonetheless, I got a couple good stories about it already.
I bet. You know, you said 46 or 48. I knew it was going to be a long. I was kind of like an amateur haberdasher. I was thinking you were probably 48. So 48 extra long?
48 extra long.
Okay, very nice. I want to go back to Shadow Creek because, you know, I was mentioning before I brought you on how consistently, you know, you've made money, top tens, but winning, you know this, winning's elusive as hell. When you started that week at Shadow Creek, did your intuition tell you anything, or was it, as you went into that week, was it just another week?
I'd say it was just another week entering the week, but I knew going into Shadow Creek that nobody else in the tournament would have as much experience as I did around that golf course. Being an MGM ambassador, we play the Pro-Am there every year. I have family that live in Vegas, so I've played the golf course, I don't know, maybe 25, now probably over 30, 35 times, but then 25 times roughly before the start of the tournament. So I knew that how fast the greens could get. I knew some spots that you just could not play from. And with the green super firm, all that played right into my hands. I'm a high ball hitter, high spin player. So going into that week, I knew where not to hit it, and I knew where I could leave the ball. And I did. D-Rob and I, David Robinson and I, read the greens incredibly well, made the putts down the stretch. And I can't remember what veteran player told me this, but he said your first win is not going to be one that you can force. It's going to be one that you're going to have to let come to you. So that was kind of my mantra for the day at CJ Cup, playing with Xander Schauffele on that Sunday. I said, you're not going to be able to force this. You're not going to be able to force the win. Just go out there and let it come to you, and take advantage of where the birdies come and where they fall. And I hit it great that day and made some really, really nice putts.
Jason, with that, which is a great thing to keep in your mind, I've always, when you talk to people in any sport, they talk about when things get fast, you can't allow them to make you fast. That don't speed up your process. Does that apply to you? Did you feel that?
Oh yeah, for sure. The process definitely speeds up. I could tell at Colonial during that win. I rewatched a little bit of the coverage, and I kind of really only wanted to see myself on 18 because that's when I really felt, I was starting to, get a lot faster. So, I putted my putt up to about 4 or 5 feet. My caddy, one of the best stories I think we'll probably ever have together is I had a 5-footer. I needed to 2-putt it, and it was a pretty straight putt inside, I don't know, inside left, inside right. And he looks at me, he's like, even you can get this down to 2, boss. So we got that down. So a little lighthearted, but I rewatched the coverage, and I told myself before I went up to this putt, I said, go slow. Don't do anything fast. Take an extra second, no matter what you're doing. And it looked like I was running up to the golf ball. So, even in that moment, thinking that I was trying to play a little slower, thinking I was trying to be, take my time, I was still fast.
The whole dynamic of Spieth being right there, and every win is different. Every win has its own texture. Was there extra satisfaction knowing that, look, that the mojo on that property, you had so many people that wanted him to win. You had to be aware of that, weren't you?
Without a doubt. I had 2 friends, one my cousin's good friend that lived in Houston, and another friend that I grew up playing golf with here in Youngstown. He lives down there in Arlington, and they were the only 2 players or people there that I think were rooting for me. So I kind of just, kept my head down and, tried to ignore the comments and, chirp at people when I needed to. Like, when they were kind of talking right when I was getting ready to hit, I'd, tell them to quiet down. And I have a voice that carries pretty well. So they tend to quiet down when I, yell or whatever. But I had to keep my head down. There was a lot of, nasty comments, and nonetheless, way worse outside the ropes than what I could hear. But I could hear some of it. Houston,
you're tied for 25th through 2 rounds. Do you remember on Saturday? What was your approach on the weekend? Because you're right. You're in the middle of the pack going into the weekend.
Well, I had played the golf course really well the first couple of days, and then when we had with the delay because of the rain, I didn't get to finish on Friday. So Saturday morning, really cold weather, a little bit breezy, but not too bad. But I couldn't dial in how far the ball was going, and chipping and putting around that golf course was incredibly difficult that day, and had a little bit of a debacle finishing my second round. And bogeyed my first hole to start the 3rd round. So, but the one thing that kind of kicked me out of that, my cousin just informed me, I think the day before, the night before, that he had just welcomed his 3rd baby into the world. So it kind of snapped me out of the bad thought process or anything else like that. So kind of gave me a fresh start, and I knew nobody else was making as many birdies as I was around that place. So I just kind of stepped on the gas and, hit some great shots, took advantage of the par 5s. And, I knew that it would be a tough golf course to get to, 15 under par or whatever. So I just stuck to my game plan and, I ended up coming out on top. It was an incredibly tough golf course that week if you missed the green.
You shot 65 in the final round, and I was saying, we were talking about, forecasting this year, and I think that you're going to the next level. I think winning breeds winning. I think winning is a skill. And I also think it changes goals because until you win, I don't know. I mean, winning is obviously a goal, and then you win, and I think it's reasonable to expect to win more. How do you assess what you want to do this year as opposed to before you won for the first time? How different are your goals?
The goals are, obviously elevated after your first win. You win a couple more times. I mean, Kevin and I won the QBE. So, yeah, I guess you could say that winning is a skill. It's, something that, when you smell blood in the water, then you can go out and go get it. And, that not really force yourself to go do it. But after that first time, I think you can kind of force a couple things depending on where you're at. But yeah, goals do change. Winning more is obviously always a goal. Tour championship is always a goal. Recently, I think contending in a major, contending at the Players Championship, or making my first team event would be at the top of my goal list these days. So, still wanting to win, be in contention. I've always prided myself on being a consistent player, and not quite as much the last little while. But my highs are definitely high, but the lows are not nearly as low as they used to be. So. Still continuing and striving to get better. So that's my goal, is to continue to get better every year. And I think I've done just that throughout my career.
Jason, when you got your card a decade ago, I remember meeting you, and I was saying to the guys here in the studio, I've always prided myself on having a firm handshake. You have a death grip. I mean, honest to God. But the point I'm trying to make is that your reputation was that, obviously you had big game. Were you a hard worker? Do you work as hard, or do you work smarter now than you did 10 years ago?
I think I work a lot smarter than I did 10 years ago. I don't go to the golf course now just to just blindly hit balls, or, blindly just hit putts or whatever. I always have like something I'm trying to work on. Something that I'm always working on my chipping, always working on my wedge play. I think that's something that I could work a little bit harder at this year. Probably, I've been playing great golf, but to contend in a major and do some of the things that I want to do, I think my wedge play and my chipping need to get a little bit better. Driving the golf ball, I've been a lot better, not quite as long as I used to be. When you met me a decade ago, but nonetheless, I'm hitting it a little bit straighter. So, that being said, I mean, it's been a fun ride. I'm out here on the PGA Tour playing against the game's best, and I'm trying to enjoy the ride as well. I don't want to just grind myself into weakness almost. I don't want to stay out there all day. I don't want to stay on the golf course away from my kids all the time. I want to enjoy life at home. I want to enjoy life on the golf course, but continue to contend, at every level. Do
you feel now with, the three kids and with Stephanie that you're playing for more than yourself? I mean, I was talking to Kevin Kisner a couple of months ago, and I was asking him about DeChambeau, and he's like, yeah, I think he's a revolutionary player, but give him my kids for a couple of weeks and let me see what that does to his game. I mean, it's a game changer, isn't it?
Yeah. It's the game called life. I mean, it is a game changer. I mean, he's a young guy. He's one of the hardest working guys on the PGA Tour. I mean, I've heard a lot of things from other players about him. Over there in Dallas, he does some incredible stuff. He is a revolutionary player. He's doing things with the golf ball that no other PGA Tour player's done. So you got to respect him in that manner. But nonetheless, you give him a couple kids, a wife on top of that, a big house to take care of, and responsibilities at home. I think that changes the entirety of what he's going to look at. And you're hearing more and more players say that about their kids and wanting to retire and spend more time at home. I think the time of the 25 to 30-year veteran on the PGA Tour is a fleeting person. You're not going to see those guys spend that much time out there. They want to be at home. I mean, it is a grind. 24/7. We start January 1 all the way up into, if you play the Shark Shootout, all the way up until mid-December. There's not a lot of weeks off. You play 25 to 30 weeks. It's still a grind on your body, and it's still a grind mentally. So I think I'm trying to be that independent contractor and make as much money as possible.
It's interesting that you say that. And I have held that same belief, particularly now, and everyone lives whenever time period that they live in, and the money is what it is now. But are you surprised at guys like Furyk, who's made 100 on the golf course, and Lord knows, I mean, the guy's tatted up with 5 or 6 or 12 different logos on his body, and good for him that he's still out there, that he's still doing this, and Els is still doing it, and Stricker's still doing it. These guys have made tons. I mean, are you surprised by that?
Not really. I mean, those are the guys that are the 25 to 30 year vets that they're used to it.
Yeah.
I think that, I also think that their kids are grown and out of the house for the most part. And, they have the extra time. They like the competition. They like the camaraderie of the senior tour. And my vision now is to retire quite a few years before the senior tour. And then who knows? I mean, once, I get 5-6 years at home or something like that, and maybe I'd want to go back out on the road, or maybe if I stop for a year, I'm not going to want to, quit completely. I might want to play a little bit more, but everybody's different, and everybody's mind changes throughout their career. And, you have to look at the Ernie Els, Jim Furyks of the world that play like that. I mean, you respect them. They've been a long time great golfer, Hall of Fame golfers throughout their career. And it's fun to still play golf with them. It's fun to see them still out there competing. I mean, look at Jim. He was leading the Sony Open last week. So nonetheless, I mean, these guys still have game. They're still really good. I played with Ernie mid last year. I mean, still drives it good, still drives it long enough for anybody. I mean, these guys are having fun competing against each other. And I think that's the name of the game. They like that. I mean, we like that. You talk to Kisner, you talk to anybody that plays on the PGA Tour. We're gamers. We like the competition, and we enjoy it.
The whole idea of the process, when you're playing, you have to be paying attention to yourself. But when you do take time to watch other guys and you get to know people, whose process do you admire? I'm talking about think box, into the play box, and the way they go about things. Who do you look at and go, God, I love the way he does it?
That's a hard question. I mean, there's so many guys that you respect, but they all do it in their own way. There's not one particular way. I mean, Tiger kind of, he was the first one to pave the way of, working out at 6 a.m., playing golf, working out again, and, being at the peak of his career. It showed. I mean, he did everything he was supposed to do. But then you see other guys that, can manage their time a little bit differently and still be at the top of their game. Ernie Els was at the top of his game, quite a few years before Tiger. But, you look at some of these older guys. I mean, you look at Jerry Kelly, you look at some of these guys have always respected. They've been out there and doing it for so long that they do go out and enjoy a glass of wine and a great dinner, after the round. You have to enjoy the little things in life to enjoy the entirety of your life. You can't, if it's all golf all the time, I know I would get burnt out. I don't think some of the other guys would get burnt out as fast as I would, but I like to have fun. I mean, a lot of my friends out there on tour, they know I like to have fun. Gary, I like to have fun. Everybody knows I like to have a good time. Nonetheless, I still, when I'm golfing, when I'm doing my thing, I'm there, I'm trying my hardest, and I'm doing everything I can to play my best golf. So, you have to have that, that balance beam. You have to walk that line of, fundamentals and, being able to get it done on the golf course.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up Jerry Kelly, because I think one of the most underrated things a player can do is to maintain fully exempt status until they turn 50. And then you go and play PGA Tour champions. That shows some serious stones. I mean, to make a living doing this for 30 years close to, and your buddy Pat Perez has a chance to do that. And he even said recently, I can't wait until I'm 50 because I'm going to kick some people's asses. If Pat, what is, I mean, I think Pat has one of the best putting strokes ever. I swear to God, from 8 feet, I'd give him, here's the ball, I make every 8-footer for me. Is it that? What is it that has allowed him to keep doing this for so long?
Well, I mean, he always has a go-to shot. I think everybody in the game that plays it at the elite level, has a go-to shot. Mine's a draw. His is a fade. He knows that he's going to hit a big 15 to 18 yard fade under the gun with the driver. He knows that he's going to hit like maybe a little bit of a pull fade with his irons. And, he's one of the best wedgers of the golf ball out there. I mean, he's got kind of that short, compact swing that's ideal for wedges. He doesn't have a whole lot of lag like I do, but that's what makes him great. And he's been, for his entire career, one of the best putters on the PGA Tour. I mean, he's always a great putter. As you said, from 8 to 10 feet and in, he's unbelievable. So I think, that's the name of the game. I mean, if you look at the numbers outside of 10 feet, the numbers go drastically down.
Yep.
Of make percentage. And I mean, even from 10 feet, it can't be more than, 60%, maybe 50%. I think it might be even that. So, it goes up, almost to 90% inside of 3 feet, or 98% in 3 feet. But outside of that, it goes down. So to be a great putter from 10 feet and in is what's going to make or break, a 20-year vet. And, with Pat Perez and Jerry Kelly and some of these guys that have done it forever, they're not the elite ball strikers that, you've seen, but they are elite when it comes to wedging the golf ball, chipping the golf ball. Pat's an incredible chipper of the golf ball. I mean, we played the Zurich together, and he had some of the best chips I've ever seen. So it was fun to play that. Kevin Na has a chance to do some of that stuff too. I mean, he's very, very good around the greens. He's done the same thing kind of Pat's done, to a level. I mean, they both are great players. I mean, I think Kevin is a little bit better of a putter, but he's made a career of wedging and putting it. Pat used to hit it really far, and, he's 46 years old and losing a little bit of distance, but, I feel bad that he's playing a lot of practice rounds with me, and then he has to watch me hit the driver. But, that's what makes what makes me an elite player is I drive the ball long and pretty straight. And, if my wedges are on, then, I'm a tough guy to beat.
Kevin, I played with Kevin in the Pro-Am at Wells Fargo the second year of the event. He was 19. He's been out there 100 years, and he's not even 40.
Yeah.
And I
19.
think
I talked to him last week.
It's crazy. And look, he's had a great career. I think, first of all, the President's Cup's in Charlotte. Charlotte well. Quayle's going to be unhinged. The crowds are going to be great. They've already oversold all the corporate hospitality. Yeah. It's going to be it's going to be unhinged. But I say this because I think you have a really good chance to be on the team. I also think Kevin would be like a great irritant, and I mean that complimentary. He could drive people crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. He can definitely do that. I mean, we played our QBE matches, and I mean, there's a friendly camaraderie out there, but I could tell that there was a little bit of a mind game going out there. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to stand over here to the side, and if Kevin needs any help physically, I can handle that. But I'm going to let him do the mental warfare for me, and have a little bit of fun. But he's that guy. I think he's that irritant that he could get under your skin. He's not going to outdrive you anywhere. Do anything crazy, but, he's going to hit it to 15 to 20 feet every single hole. And I mean, it looks like he's going to make every putt out there. And then when he misses the green, he's better with the wedge. He might chip it in more often from 30 feet than he would putting it in from 30 feet. And he has a slightly unconventional way of chipping, but I'll tell you what, it is fun to watch, to watch him chip the golf ball around some of these really tough, tight lies into the grain Bermuda, which is some of the toughest stuff to chip off of in the world. And he makes it look very, very easy.
The idea of progressing in your career and finding your footing professionally, I've always been curious about how it changes your approach, because there's so much nuance to competitive golf, and we don't know how much Friday afternoon is getting to young players, because they've got to accrue a certain amount of money, and hopefully they make the number and they get to the 125. Has your approach to playing competitive golf completely changed from 2011 to present day?
Yeah. I wouldn't say it's completely changed. Day in and day out, year in and year out, I'm striving to get better. I'm not, trying to do anything that I'm not capable of doing. Yeah, I've got the extra maybe 15 or 20 yards in the tank, but, hitting the fairways is key around the PGA Tour. As much as Bryson is hitting it as far as he is, the fairways are key. The U.S. Open, I think he led the field in putting. So, I think the stats might be skewed on, that major championship. Everybody's talking about how far he hits it. When you're leading the putting stat, you are normally up there at the top 5 on the list there for the week. So, striving to get better every year for me is one of the top keys for me. It's not, you don't have to get exponentially better out here, but if you can get better at something every year, you're going to continue to rise on the PGA Tour. And, one of the veteran guys when I came out told me, he says, don't wear yourself out. Don't stay out here for 8 to 10 hours a day.
Yep.
By the time the tournament comes, you're going to be tired. You're not going to be ready to play. You're not going to be wanting to play because you've spent 8 to 10 hours practicing nonstop Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And you're just not mentally or physically ready to play against the best players in the world. I think being mentally and physically ready, as opposed to, knowing the golf course is more important than anything. Take weeks off when you're not feeling well, or take weeks off when you've had 4 or 5 weeks on. 1 week is not enough. 2 weeks is a must, at least twice a year. So, the young guys, I think they wear themselves out.
You saying that, I was playing with Justin Rose in 2013 at Zurich, and for whatever reason, there was a guy who was a rookie on the PGA Tour. I'm not going to say his name. His name came up, and he said, "Gary, I promise you, he's gonna practice his way off the tour." He said, "I've never seen somebody hit more balls." And lo and behold, he played his way off the tour. He's been back on the tour since. Now, some people learn those lessons about ball counts and taking weeks. Did you ever get to a point though where you felt like you were midway through the year and you're like, God, look at me, I'm at 137 in the FedEx Cup, and you're grinding yourself into a pulp, and you're not producing more? Did you learn a valuable lesson at any point in your career that way?
Well, my rookie year on tour, I was very close to losing my card. I think I finished 117 or 119 or something like that. And I earned my card. I finished T2 at the Napa event now. I was at Portugal down there, and I finished second to Jonas Blix there, and finished the year off, kind of with a bang. And, I played halfway decent, finished, 20th or whatever at RSM. One of those years that, sometimes you just have to, put your nose to the grindstone and go out and get it. That's, kind of the mentality of, after you win your first one, that you have to go out and get it. Like, at Houston, you have to go out and you just have to do something to either win or lose. And I think that's the mentality that, I took there. I played every week. I grinded every week. It's something that you need to force yourself to do. And if you're not playing well and you need to play, you need to just, quote unquote, sack up and, get it done. It's not something golf is not going to be given to you. There's nothing in the game that is ever going to be given to you. And as soon as you think it is, that's right. That's when it's going to turn around and smack you right in the face. So I think it's a very interesting game, and I'm enjoying it. But yeah, that rookie year was pretty stressful. And, I had a couple guys, tell me a few things, but I never had the OSU Cowboy Club or the Georgia Bulldogs or the Florida Gators. Like, I didn't have that to rely upon. I mean, I had, myself, I've had a couple caddies, I had my family back home, but I didn't have a whole lot of guys take me under their wing and say, hey, Jay, this is, something that maybe you need to work on or whatever. And I think, Perez did that for me, maybe not my rookie year, but it was maybe 2 or 3 years later that we, played a couple practice rounds together, realized that we, had some camaraderie, and we became really good friends. And he was kind of the guy that took me under his wing, not to kind of show me everything, but, hey, I've been a 20-year vet, and I've been a 20-year vet for a reason. I got something going for me. So, you have to, take little things from every player and, use those to the best of your ability. You can't just use everything blindly and go down the same path as everybody else.
The analytical part of it, analytics has become, a big part of the game, and certain players rely on it more than others. Is there any aspect of analytics that you find more valuable than the lion's share of the data that's available to you?
Well, I think some of the data is a little bit skewed. The driving distance thing it's not every single drive you hit. It's just a select few out there. So the driving distance is a little skewed. I think the putting stats are a little skewed depending on whether you're putting from off the green, whether you're chipping, or
Right.
whether it is better to be short on this par four front pin. If you spin it just off the front edge of the green, that's going to be a lot better if you hit it to 20 feet past the hole. So I think I think some of the stats are skewed, but I think I've been looking at the stats more recently to try to get a little bit better. My strokes gained around the green and strokes gained to proximity to the hole, I think could get better. And I think those are some of the things that you can work on, but you can't rely strictly upon stats. You have to, golf is a game of feel. And I've always played it as such. And you can use the stats to your advantage, but don't strictly rely upon stats, or you'll become a robot. And that's not something that you really want to do on the PGA Tour. It's worked for some people out there, but it definitely wouldn't work for me, or it wouldn't work for a person that I would try to help out on tour these days. I mean, I don't view myself as a veteran out there, but I think this is my 11th or 12th season.
Yeah.
Going in my 12th season. So. If younger guys have questions, I'm all for it. I'll give you an honest answer. I'll give you a straightforward answer. If you don't like it, I'm not really sorry about it. It's just kind of one of those things that, if you ask me a question, you better be ready for the answer.
You use the term sack up, and I think that's what putting is. But statistically, you've gotten a lot better as far as your putting. Is that really kind of the self-fulfilling prophecy of you sacking up when it matters most? Or is it something that is reflective of certain things that you've worked on technique-wise? Putting to me is willing it into the hole, particularly when it matters the most. What is it about your putting that's gotten better?
Well, 4 years ago, I hired David Robinson. I believe is one of the best green readers on tour. He's probably one of the best playing caddies, out there to carry the bag. I mean, he had held Webb status or Korn Ferry status for a couple of years, 3 straight years out there. So the guy's got immense game himself around the greens. He's an incredible short game guy. He can't teach me everything about the short game, because the way he does stuff and the way I do stuff, because D-Rob's 5'10" and I'm 6'4". There's a lot of pivots and things that just don't match up. But he knows a lot about the game. He can't always tell me exactly what he can tell me what he sees and what he feels, but it doesn't always directly correlate with me. So I think the culmination of me trying to work a little harder at it, him reading the greens for me, and he gave me the tip of going to a 36-inch putter, sticking with left hand low. I think it's just it's a culmination of both of us doing what we know how to do best. And, he gave me the tip is you cannot be perfect lining your ball up. So if you see me out there, I do line the ball up, but it's not something that I putt it down that line every time. I'm not going to sit there and make sure this line is directly on left edge or directly a ball out or a cup out or whatever. I think it's, one of those things is if I line the ball up, left edge and it's a ball out putt, I will use the line, but I won't change the line. I'll use my putt, the line on my putter to line myself up. And I think it's, one of the guys, I can't remember who, told me it's more reactionary when you're putting. You, as you said, it's willing it into the hole. Where you're looking is where you're going to stroke that putter subconsciously. It's not, you could be aimed, a cup right. And if you're looking a ball out left, subconsciously, you're going to pull that putt or pull that ball onto its line. And, as you said, will the ball into the hole. So it's not something that, it's not a perfect ideal system of putting, a straight back, straight through an arc or, whatever. If you look at Tiger kind of pulled his putts into the hole, which probably got the ball rolling faster because, if you pull something, it doesn't spin as much and it, has that top spin to it. So there's a lot that goes into it, but I think that, you cannot perfect the way you putt, and you just have to know that what tendencies that you do have.
You said reactionary. That Brad Faxon told me the best tip he ever got was from Ben Crenshaw. He was a young player. It might have been his rookie year or his second year. He was in Disney, and he asked Ben to watch him putt. And at one point, Ben said, why are you not moving at all? He said, what do you mean moving? He said, you can't be so static. All you're doing is creating tension in your body. He said, I want you to try to putt and just in a very supple way, I want you to kind of flex your knees. I mean, it's an athletic movement. It may not appear to be that way, but you've got to make it as much of a motion. It's not just you being as still as you can be. And he said, I've applied that his entire career, and he's historically one of the greatest putters of all time.
Without question. And I told my caddy D-Rob last week, around the green, I think I've been striving to do stuff with my chipping around the green to firm up some technique. But I tend to chip better with a little bit of movement and, kind of bouncing the club around. I have great eye-hand coordination. I'm a fairly good athlete. Maybe not anymore, but, I tend to do better and hit the ball better when I'm not. If you look at my golf swing, there's nothing, stagnant or,
No.
It's a very fluid motion, and, that's what makes me a good ball striker. But that's also what makes it hard to be an elite chipper, I guess, is, that little bit of movement. But, the confidence is a huge key in the game of golf. And, if without a little bit of confidence, you're not going to go very far.
Yeah, I think Spieth is like a witch when he chips. I mean, he never gets still. I mean, he's always, a lot of it is visionary, always moving. Constantly moving. And a lot of it may be nervous energy, but the point is that there's motion all the way until he takes it back until impact. I want to ask you, because there was I saw the release this morning, and you represent Saudi golf, that this whole existential threat to the PGA Tour, it seems natural to me that you would be certainly a target to be a part of that. I would assume you've been approached. I mean, what's the story?
There's been no official, contract or anything that's come my way. I mean, I've heard rumors of, guys signing already, guys, in, extended talks with the Saudis. But, I'm as I said before, earlier in the show, I'm an independent contractor. I'm trying to take advantage. I've had long conversations with, a couple of the elite players that on the PGA Tour, and, these guys, I haven't signed any, $20 million contracts or, any elevated contracts that would make me, want to stay. I mean, I want to make as much money as I can in as little time as I can. And, competition is good. The Saudi Golf League, or whatever, the Premier Golf League, whatever you want to call it, has, gained some traction, and it has created competition for the PGA Tour, which has in turn increased the purses. I'm curious to see if the PGA Tour would have ever increased any of that without this competition. And it's scary to see how much money is out there and how much money was held back from its players, from the people that are making the money for the tour. And it's an interesting concept. I'm not going anywhere as of right now. I'm enjoying the PGA Tour. I'm enjoying the competition, but if somebody's going to pay me enough to retire in the next 4 years, it's more money than I could possibly make, winning multiple times a year on the PGA Tour and being told what to do. Wednesday Pro-Ams. Yes. If the tour came out, I mean, I had a long conversation with Jay and, explained some, basic ideas, fundamental stuff that, in my mind is common sense, but, in everyday business mind, it's not. So, I don't have any intention of, going anywhere or signing anything as of right now, but, cash is king. And if, somebody pays me enough money that, my kids are going to, have a good head start on life, I'm going to have to take full advantage of that, because I'm not a guy that has taken advantage of everything that I've been dealt. I could have been a little bit better, but, I strive to get better every year. And, playing the PGA Tour is unbelievable. It's great, but it is a grind. And there is some, you want to play the PGA Tour for, more of a legacy thing, or, whatever some people have told me, but, to play the Saudi Golf League, to play 14 events, or whatever, 14, we'll call it 14 events. Right. Supposedly more than half are going to be in the United States. You're going to get a big bonus at the beginning of the year. You're going to play for $20 million or whatever it is. I mean, the amount of money that's going to be available to you playing against a 64-man field as opposed to 128 to 132 to 156-man field, it creates you're going to make a lot more money in a lot less time frame. So I'm going to try to make, as I said, as much money as I can in as little amount of time. So if the money's right, I would love to go play that tour and play against some of the guys that are going to go out over there. But I hate to say that the PGA Tour is, secondary, but I don't really have a bad choice in this situation.
Jason, you mentioned, and I don't think it's unreasonable at all, the things that you're bringing up about the player impact program and the way that they've done the FedEx Cup and more money there and the Players Championship. That this is not like coincidental. This is a reaction to an existential threat. There's no doubt about that in my mind, and clearly you agree with that. I do want to ask you, because you're aware of what people say as far as the Saudi government and being used as puppets to whitewash a regime that obviously has a poor human rights record. What is your response to that?
I mean, yeah, I see and I read what people, question me or question what I'm doing based upon what the Saudi government right now. I'm a representative of the Gulf Saudi League, not the league, but Gulf Saudi. They're trying to grow the game of golf, and that's what I'm representing, is growing the game of golf. I'm not representing the Saudi government. I'm, not a member of the government. I don't live there. It's just something that, they pay me to represent, a functional level of growing this game at a global level, as opposed to, bringing in the government or anything like that. I'm trying to grow this game and be a representative of the game of golf at the highest level. And I want to grow the game. Not just here in the United States, but around the globe. And I think that they're taking that step outside the box into trying to grow the game. They have the financial background to do this and to grow the game in a way that we haven't seen before outside of, the PGA Tour.
One thing I will say to end this part of the conversation, when this came up for the first time, I spent some time looking at the investments of Saudi Arabia around the world, and specifically here in the United States. And they have one of the largest wealth funds anywhere in the world. And look, they've got FU money. There's no doubt about that. And there is Saudi money from Wall Street to Silicon Valley and everywhere in between. And the one thing I would say is just, be careful about casting aspersions about, somebody taking this dollar or that dollar until you realize where your dollar is being invested and who's investing in what you might be invested in. I do want to ask you this one last thing about it. Do you expect some type of formal, construction or construct of this league before what? Before June? What do you think?
From what I've heard, that it is going to happen. I just don't know the time frame. I mean, it's hard for me to say because I've had very little conversation with the Saudi Golf League that would make me think that yes, they're interested in me because I represent the golf Saudi side of it. So I think I would be a guy that they would aim at, but I'm not gonna jump ship for a small price tag. It's not something that I've gained representation on the PGA Tour. I'm a top 30 player in the world right now, and it's going to take quite a bit for me to go over there to play this league, and I'm interested to see what it has in store. I mean, it's not something that it's not an ideal system or an ideal situation to be involved with Golf Saudi as opposed to the PGA Tour. Coming out on the PGA Tour, I thought that the PGA Tour was going to be the epitome of my golf career. Sure. Getting to where I'm at now, I'm having a few more people look at me, and the type of game that I have, it's relatively exciting. I hit the ball far, but I hit it offline. I hit some amazing shots, but I hit some terrible shots. it's not just, ball in fairway, ball on green, two putt, par. I mean, I'm all over the golf course. As I said, I like to have a little bit of fun, and I think I draw a little bit more than the average golfer to them, as far as trying to have fun with some of their clients, and that is around the world. As you said, they're involved from Silicon Valley to Wall Street, and if they have companies like that they would like me to help out with, I'd like to do that. The PGA Tour has done an incredible job with me so far, and I can't thank them enough. But I have to, the dollar for dollar is definitely not it. But if you look at it from a standpoint where I'm at, I can make enough money with this Saudi Golf League or whatever starting up in a a 3-4. I don't even know what a standard contract would be, because it's so new. I can make more money and retire upon that. It's enough money to retire upon. I think that, if everything if the cards fall as they may, it's going to be enough money that I can retire upon. If not, I could, I stick my nose to the grindstone out here on the PGA Tour, and I will be just fine. I don't have a wrong answer in this situation. Yes, I took some money to represent the game of golf, and I've had some backlash over it, but that's backlash over something that's completely different than what I'm trying to do, and I think what the Saudis are trying to put forward going forward. I think it's something in their past. Obviously, that's their own country, that's their own problems. But we have our own problems here in the United States, and I'm not one to point the finger first.
All right, let's decompress, and I'm going to end this with 5 quick questions. I actually am going to add a bonus question because I can't help it, because I know where your heart lies when it comes to sports. Who's the best shit talker on the PGA Tour?
Ooh, that's a good one. I'd probably have to go with Kisner.
Kisner, 5'8", 140 soaking wet, Kevin Kisner. All right.
You said shit talker. I didn't say enforcer.
All right. What is your least favorite chore around the house?
Ooh, dishes.
Dishes. That's not that hard.
Actually, no, it's not. You said least favorite. You know what? Growing up in a dry cleaning family, I'm going to go ahead and say laundry.
Laundry.
Laundry is probably my least favorite, just because my great grandfather started a laundry or a dry cleaning business. 100 and some years ago. My dad sold off the last little bit of it quite a couple of years ago. So my family's always been in the laundry, dry cleaning business. So yeah, I could put a nice pleat in your pants, or whatever, and press all that stuff. I have a second career if I need it. But
dry cleaning is never going away. I mean, cleaning will live beyond the apocalypse. All right, your favorite restaurant on the road?
Ooh, hard one. There's so many good ones, and I have to hand it to Jerry Kelly. He's given me quite a few of those great restaurants. I'm going to go ahead with Del Frisco's in Charlotte, because that's where my wife and I got engaged.
Very
nice.
We
had our rehearsal dinner, and a lot of great memories there.
Very nice. It's less than a mile from my house. All right. Your celebrity crush growing up?
God, I don't even remember her name now. I can't even remember now who my celebrity crush growing up. I don't know. Megan Fox.
I knew you were going to say that. I swear, I almost said Megan Fox. All right, last one. Yeah. No, not the last one, but officially, your favorite cuss word or phrase on the golf course?
Favorite cuss word or phrase? The one I could say on air.
You can say it. You can say anything here.
You got to be kidding me.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, I know. That's because I blurted it out myself.
All right, my bonus one, Baker. Extension or no extension from Baker Mayfield?
I think they're going to go ahead and give it to him, but I would prefer not to. I mean, first 3 years, I don't think he's a bad quarterback. I just think he's undersized for the NFL.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the wheels of Kyler Murray or Lamar Jackson. I mean, he doesn't have that speed to get outside the pocket and then set himself for some of these throws. He's had the most batted balls, the most interceptions, and the most sacks of a 3-year quarterback, in a 3-year span for quite some time. I don't know. You'd have to fact check me on that, but that's a stat that I don't know. ESPN or somebody told me. So, if I read it on the internet, it's got to be true.
Absolutely, it does.
It's tough for me to give a large contract to a guy like that.
Yeah.
I just saw the stat that Dak Prescott got. He's he's making $107 million. And I mean, he hasn't won a playoff game. You gotta be kidding me. It's one of those things. I want the Cleveland Browns to do as good as they can, but they got to draft a quarterback that's 6'4", can see over their line. Baker, he brings a lot of, light to the Browns because he's a character, but get off the commercials and put your nose to the grindstone and figure out a way to get some touch around some of the giant linemen. I mean, I'm 6'4", and I couldn't imagine trying to throw the football over these guys that are 6'8", that can run faster than me, that want to take my head off.
It's true. When you sign a guy to a contract like that, what it does, it strangles the rest of your roster because you only have so much money to allocate. That's why Seattle, they got so much out of Russell in that first deal before they had to pay him all that money, and they could pay money, spend money on the defensive side of the ball. Hey, listen, I really appreciate the time. I'm looking forward to seeing you down the road, and I'm really, really happy for all the success. Winning 3 times in this short amount of this time span is wildly impressive. Thanks so much, buddy.
Gary, thanks for having me. We've known each other for a long time. Always a pleasure to be on the show and get to chat with you for a little bit.
Well, we appreciate Jason Kokrak joining us. I know that his thoughts, and they were extensive, his thoughts on the Saudi Golf League, proposed league, and his own position on it are probably going to garner a lot of attention, and rightfully so. But he is somebody who has become, as he said, a top 30 player in the world. So we appreciate his time. We appreciate your time. Next week, Lee Westwood, a guy many believe is destined for the World Golf Hall of Fame, will be our guest right here on 5 Clubs. So for all of us here at the 5 Clubs Conversation, we'll see you next week.